Orgasmic enlightenment, where the sexual and spiritual come together. I'm Anami, and I'm a holistic sex and relationship coach and a vaginal weightlifter. In this show, we explore all things intimate. I believe that our sexual energy is life force, creative energy, and we can use it to shape our worlds, strengthen our relationships, and self-actualize. I blend the most avant-garde information from neuroscience, ancient sexual practices like Tantra and Taoism, to renegade wellness modalities to show you how to create gourmet sex in your lives. Come one, come all. All women can have orgasmic births. Some of the most fun we have here in Anami land is gleefully defying much of the social programming and limitations that are imprinted upon us from an early age. The truth is, all women are multi-orgasmic and can have G-spot, cervical, and ejaculating orgasms, shooting ping pong balls with their vaginas, and be gushing lubrication at any age and stage of their lives. All men can have superstar stamina and last for hours in bed, be multi-orgasmic, learn to separate orgasm from ejaculation, and have rock-hard erections well into their 70s and beyond. And all women can have orgasmic births. I guarantee it. All of these things are possible for all people. It's the Anami guarantee. This is reality in Anami land where all things are possible. And my purpose is to show you why and then how to get there. The truth is that birth is meant to be orgasmic, pleasurable, the wildest, biggest, most life-changing orgasm and spiritually transcendent experience that you will ever have. How could it not be, at least in its natural state? In this moment, you are literally co-creating with the universe itself to bring new life into the world. Your human and divine powers are combined and at their zenith. Birth is simply the culmination of the great cosmic act that started it all, lovemaking and conception. What if the truth is that your entire pregnancy was actually an extension of the sexual act, where you feel erotically lit up and charged all of the time, brimming over with sensual and sexual energy and at the edge of orgasm for 9 months, living in a perpetual state of arousal and bliss? What if the truth is that your birth was then the peak of all of that, the building of 9 months of delicious foreplay, climaxing with the biggest, wildest, most ecstatic orgasm of your life that will forever change you as a person and hardwire your baby for a life of bliss and flow? Well, it is. Whoa, sexual pregnancy, birth is an orgasmic and sexual act. Sounds pretty heretic, doesn't it? I mean, we've all had the whole Madonna whore dichotomy shoved down our throats since birth. So much so that even in Christian mythology, the famed Son of God couldn't even be born from a couple having sex. They had to skip that part. If it means even that, I mean, people take the Bible so literally, who really knows? But the truth is that sex and spirituality and sex and birth are inextricably linked. Always have been, always will be. The fact that birth is painful and pregnancy can be such suffering for so many women tells us how far from the truth of pregnancy and birth we have actually come. So why do most people have experiences that are nothing like bliss and ecstasy in their pregnancy and birth? Number 1 would be programming. Number 2, deliberate interference. And number 3, the make work program and job creation setup of the century. If you have an intermediary between you and God and you and your own body, I mean, the fact that we actually buy into this tells you how much nonstop effort goes into the brainwashing and conditioning to make us believe this. But just like you're told that you need a priest to be the go-between for you and God, in Western medicine, you're told that you need a machete-wielding witch doctor to deliver your baby for you, often by cutting it out of you in a bizarre sacrificial ritual. The sacrifice is you, your body, your sense of self, your autonomy, your power, your confidence, and belief in yourself, and mostly being robbed of the most profound self-actualizing experience you can have as a human being. Because that is what you get from birthing a baby through natural means, and nothing less than that. You and the divine grooving together, opening up the portal between worlds in the most shamanic of journeys and bringing in new life. How much more powerful does it get? It doesn't. And in the Western world, that experience, and now, in most other parts of the world as well, that experience is taken from you. And not only do you not get to have that, but women are generally left quite traumatized by what they go through. Because when you interfere with that divine flow and you try to control and manage, it backfires spectacularly. When I got pregnant, I'd already been living off the grid and in nature for a while. And this was before the time of cell phones and the internet. So once you were away from civilization, you were truly off the grid. I'd been on a journey for about 7 years at that point, exploring natural and herbal healing, homeopathy, meditation, and all kinds of self-healing modalities. I had the intuitive sense that, of course, my body knows exactly what to do. All I need to do is listen to that and honor it. And I did. I had no interest in getting any kinds of tests or scans or some kind of outside validation to tell me what was happening in my own body. I knew. All women know, but we get convinced with these massive marketing campaigns that we do not. In the early 20th century, there was an orchestrated smear campaign by a new, emerging, made-up profession called obstetrics and gynecology, who sought to erase midwifery and make the field of women's bodies their own. Along with this whole smear campaign against midwives was also the intention to make women think that birthing their own babies was a feat so daunting that they couldn't possibly do it without a male doctor there to rip the baby out of them in some way. This is a quote from the American Dr. Hodge in 1938. He says, "If these facts can be substantiated, if this information can be promulgated, if females can be induced to believe that their sufferings will be diminished or shortened and that their lives and those of their offspring be safer in the hands of the profession, there will be no further difficulty in establishing the universal practice of obstetrics. All the prejudices of the most ignorant and nervous female, all the innate and acquired feelings of delicacy so characteristic of the sex, will afford no obstacle to the employment of male practitioners." All of this to say that the knowing that women naturally have gets obscured by brainwashing and marketing and ploys like this, make work projects like OBGYNs trying to secure themselves a job. And the major point to remember is that the biological default is bliss. And not just bliss, but sensual and sexual bliss. Anything other than that is a deviation from the norm. The norm is orgasmic ecstasy. Certain establishments and interests have worked very hard to make it seem like the norm is pain, and that birth is a totally asexual act. What if the divine code, to jump on a popular trope phrase these days, is that you have to be connected to your sexual flow in order to experience this kind of truly divine birth? I believe that this is true. I have seen this to be true. And if you speak to any woman who has tapped into this and had an orgasmic birth, she will tell you the same thing. We've interviewed these people on our podcast, and you can hear Amanda's story of how her birth was, and I quote, all the orgasms I've ever had combined into that birth orgasm on season 1, episode 37, called Birth Orgasms. So, what is the pathway there? Number 1, become a well-fucked woman. Easy to say and fun to do. The preparation to be doing during your pregnancy and even before is up-leveling your sexuality. Forget shopping for baby paraphernalia. Your focus ought to be on tapping into your hot and sexy mama and your archetypal wild woman who fucks her way through her pregnancy. Take my salons, listen to my podcasts, and know that this is the most important preparation that you could be doing for your birth. Nothing matters more than this. Sign up for my Well Fucked Woman salon and vaginal kung fu. If the salons aren't in session when you want to take them, you can sign up for the free preview video series in the meantime, and then you'll be on the list to be notified when they do open. And that goes for all of my salons. In the meantime, I have years of podcasts and YouTube videos to keep you going where I talk about all of these things. Number 2, cervical orgasms are your biggest birth tool. The cervix literally opens in birth, and it energetically opens during these deep orgasms, meaning it relaxes and it receives touch and energetic penetration. The pathway to cervical orgasm is surrender, letting go of control and opening yourself. This is the exact same pathway in birth. The more that you can practice this deep, deep spiritual and physical and energetic surrender that characterizes cervical orgasms, it's like going to the birth gym. You'll be training yourself and opening these neural pathways that will help you to get there. Cervical orgasms activate the vagus nerve, which is considered to be the most spiritual nerve in the body. It's aligned with an energetic pathway that goes from the cervix through the heart and all the way to the crown chakra and beyond into the cosmos. And this is why women often describe their cervical orgasms as rebirthing, self-actualizing, like they are on ecstasy and they feel like they have seen God. You cross the same threshold and the same energetic field, although not nearly as intense as birth, but in the sense of having to confront the abyss, to leap and trust and fall into surrender. This is the same imprinting. And this is as much a spiritual principle and journey as it is a sexual one. And this is why cervical orgasms change a woman to her core. Well, they originate from her core. And why they are the best tool that you can use to prepare for the birth experience and the level of courage and surrender that will be required of you. This is the price of admission. So get to bed and get to work. You can check out my podcast episode, 5 Steps to Cervical Orgasms from Season 2, Episode 3. Number 3, your relationship is key. People overlook this as one of the most essential components to an easy, natural, and blissful birth, the state of your relationship. If you are in turmoil, if you had a lot of unresolved issues between you, be they recent or long-standing, if you don't have a very active or fulfilling sex life, I would be very surprised if you didn't end up with a very complicated birth full of interferences and, oh, we just had to cut the baby out with a machete or you both would have died. The truth here is that all the issues in your relationship and your bed show up in your birth. This applies to the collective entity of your relationship and to blocks that you might have individually that prevent you from getting as close and as deep with each other as you need to be. To raise a child, you need to be fully in sync and in alignment with each other. And that stems from your sexual connection, primarily. Everything comes from there. Birth trauma is the number one reason why couples grow apart and stop having sex after their children are born. And it isn't because you're so tired and you don't have time. These are just excuses. If you had a traumatic birth experience, and most hospital births are this by default, this lingers in the space between you as a massive unresolved issue. Since most people won't think of their hospital births this way, or they aren't given permission to, hey, just be grateful that you and your baby are alive. They can never process and grieve the shit show that happened to them, all at the hands of their OBGYN who was just doing their job and needed to get home in time for dinner. For more on this, you can check out my episode, The Real Reason Couples Stop Having Sex After Children, which is in season 4, episode 30. Before even getting pregnant and during your pregnancy, your focus ought to be on everything that you can do to create a gourmet sex superpower couple relationship. This is what is going to give you the love and the sexual intimacy to stay connected all the way through pregnancy, the birth of your child, and beyond. The reason couples get exhausted in these times is because they aren't fucking enough. If they were using each other as the refueling, sanctuary, station, recharge outlets that you're meant to be with each other, you will float through these times, especially early childhood, in bliss. It's true. All of my salons teach you how to feng shui and up-level your intimate relationship with yourself and your partner. The Coming Together salon is my salon designed for couples, but all of the other salons like Well Fucked Woman and Sexual Mastery for Men have home play exercises and techniques for both singles and couples. Number 4 would be busting through the blocks and the programming that we have been bombarded with since our own births. So all of the TV shows and the movies that we see have some kind of farcical pantomime of a woman in a hospital in stirrups, screaming at the top of her lungs, her legs spread open for all the world to come in and have a look at, and finally being saved by the white coat priest allopathic whore who will administer all manner of drugs and cuts to get the baby out because, oh, you poor little woman, you couldn't possibly ever do this yourself. We will save you from the horrors of your own body. You have to look at the bullshit brainwashing that you've taken in, that we all have, and reprogram yourself. If you do not do this, then all of this unconscious wiring and imprinting that's been set in motion, including from your own birth experience and from your partner's, as in when you were born, will take over as the default. So, you educate yourself on the actual reality, which is that the most dangerous place in the world to give birth is in an American hospital. They have the highest maternal and infant mortality rates in the developed world. Routine C-sections and inductions and episiotomies and birth rapes. Instead, rewire all of that with the inner truth that Mother knows best. Your body, your genetic code have been wired with all of the wisdom and information you need to do this. You simply need to shed all of the lies that you've been told and recalibrate to the wisdom within. So all of this is why I created my Sexy Mama Salon. In this 8-week online salon, I show you the missing link between sexuality and birth and how to make your birth the most transcendent, orgasmic experience you will ever have. In Sexy Mama, we systematically go through every stage from conception through pregnancy, birth, and postpartum to reprogram you with all of the strength and power and ecstasy to make these peak life-affirming experiences and to create an imprint of bliss for life. And yes, it's possible for everyone. It's the Anami guarantee. The Sexy Mama Salon opens for registration in a few weeks. This may be the last time I run this salon live, and after this year, because we're thinking about making it a self-study. So to watch the free preview video series and be notified when the salon opens for registration, go to kimanami.com, look for Sexual Savant Salons, and then click on Sexy Mama. Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, subscribe and also leave a review. And send someone else the gift of a healthy libido and an off-the-charts love life by sharing this episode with them. We'll be back next week, and in the meantime, many happy orgasms.